hat hair.
I think. Well, just yeah, my hat hair. Thanks, Dick.
All right, light it up. Let's just get this.
We missed some great one. Oh, you already recorded. There's some good stuff.
Oh, we've been recording.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I wanted to catch you guys.
I'm worried.
Be adults in this one.
We can try. There it is. Welcome to the Okayest Cook podcast. I'm your host, Chris Wansettler, and I'm joined by my three co-hosts, who I'm going to introduce ranked by who I think is most likely to get their fishing line snagged in a tree.
My dad will have some opinions on that one.
So if we get Steve in here, we'll get the honest opinion on Colton. No, I'm going to say, who am I going to say?
Most likely to.
Looking at your eyes. I'm going to say Andy, Colton, Corey.
Does that mean
Final answer.
That's fair. I got a brand
Right in the middle. It's where I like to hang out. So.
got a brand new fishing pole in the truck, so.
I feel like Corey probably fishes the most out of all of us. Am I wrong?
I would say now, but I mean, he's done way more boundary water, like real fishing.
I'll say this.
His dad
and you can
does,
take this however you want. I'm really good at retying knots.
There we go.
Because it gets stuck in the tree.
Because it gets stuck in the tree.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm notorious for like just making the rat's nest in the reel.
Yeah.
I can't fish. I've tried. I need to talk to Okayest Fisher and just
You-
get
Yeah.
some lessons.
Do you use a button pole?
I don't know what I have. It's something that my dad found in the garbage.
That answers your
Neighbor's
question.
garage.
Well, there's your problem.
This is a Colton Corey instance here. So my fishing rod
let's
came
be
from
very
my
clear
neighbor's
that
trash.
Chris is at the top of that
Yeah.
list.
I'm always like at the worst of all these lists because I introduced myself.
I don't think
That's
I've
fair.
ever not used like an open face spinning reel.
Yeah.
That's just what my dad got me.
I was just
Yeah.
at Cabela's today. I was talking to the guy about the difference between that, and I was semi interested in getting a bait caster. But he was like going through like how it works. all the
Dude, they're
mechanics,
so
and I was
difficult.
like, nope, never mind.
They're
That's a
so
problem.
easy to like get
Nope.
the
Yeah.
Get wound
all
up.
wound up bird's nest and
Yeah,
stuff too.
absolutely.
Fun
So-
fact, you can take any fishing pole,
Get it stuck in a tree.
no,
What?
to Bass Pro,
Yeah.
and get a, do you know how much is it? $100 off? Or
I-
$50 or something?
Yeah, I
like
don't
that?
know. They give you a discount. I don't know.
They give you a significant discount. I can't remember what.
Like
it
a
is.
trade-in?
Yes.
Yeah, you trade in an old one.
Anything.
Might do that.
Like I'm assuming if it found in the trash, you probably got like an old
It's decent.
Zetco or
It's
something.
not horrible.
Well, and also if you buy a rod there, and you're not a fan of spooling your own rod because that's
They'll
hard
do-
to. They'll do it
They'll do
for you.
Nice, nice.
Yep.
I can spool
I
rods.
bet you can.
My dad,
Steve probably probably know how to do that.
He put his boys to work. That's for sure.
Nice, nice.
He's got you for
Well,
that.
we might need to change today's topic to
Yeah.
fishing. We were supposed to talk about jerky
Yeah.
today.
Yes.
Fish jerky, is that a thing?
I hope not.
That
I bet there's
sounds
salmon jerky.
gross.
That
Oh
sounds
No.
yeah. I mean, you gotta dry. I mean,
It's out there.
They
It's
dry
gotta
it
be.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I've heard of salmon jerky actually. I've
Yeah,
never
I
had
think
it,
too.
but
Yeah.
My dad, no, I forget if it was jerky or a snack stick. But my dad went to one of those touristy places and brought home some like all the different weird ostrich and salmon, and it was the fishy,
yeah.
dried wasn't a good combination. I thought. So, I think that was more snack stick than jerky, but
yeah.
similar vein.
It's
I would
different.
think jerky would go bad a lot quicker too.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Anyways.
like, if you like, I mean, you watch like the Alaskan frontier or something like that. That's what I mean.
They dry it out.
They dry out all their
Yeah.
all
That's,
their
that's
fish.
fair.
That's
Yeah.
true. Yeah. No, I'm
Well,
excited about this
anywho.
episode in general, just mainly because I don't do a lot of jerky. In fact,
Yes.
I've never done jerky with any of my deer. And this year is actually going to be the one that I'm kind of excited.
Gonna do it.
When I say this, I say I'm going to do it. Really, I'm going to bring it over here. Chris is going to do it.
Oh, geez.
Because I've always because I mean, we were talking about this a little bit earlier today about how you'll be amazed at the chunk of meat and that what you start with and what it turns out to be when you dehydrate it. And that's for me, when I just had like my very first deer, my one deer, if you will, I was like, I don't really want to give up a full roast
Yeah.
for this one piece of jerky. But this past year, had a successful year. So there's a lot of venison available. So now I'm more interested in this idea
Rub it
of
in.
doing some jerky. Well, there you go. I'll give it to you. I'll give you some jerky. So I'm excited about it.
Before we get into this, what did you guys eat this week?
Oh, yeah. Forgot about
What did you? I can't forget again.
Right.
Anybody?
So let's go first.
I'll go first
Yeah.
because you guys will have opinions about this.
We always do.
So I did not eat this. My buddy who just started listening to our podcast,
Yes.
Nathan Fraser, I'll give him a shout out.
Thank you, Nathan.
Good friend. We cook and grill together and whatnot, but he has been collecting old, just random cookbooks from old church gatherings, libraries, whatever.
That's
and
my jam.
And he sent me a recipe this week, and let me pull it up here, but I thought it was a joke at first. Like, there's no way this is a real recipe. So in one of his books, there's a recipe for roast raccoon.
Did he have a raccoon?
He did not have a raccoon.
Okay.
I
But he sent
almost
me-
guarantee you there's some raccoon recipes in this old book here. Yeah.
So listen to the ingredients to this, though.
hear
So raccoon, 1 cup of onions, 1 cup of raisins, cabbage leaves, and butter. That's it.
Doesn't sound horrible.
No, man.
I'll be
that
honest, it
sounds
doesn't
good.
sound horrible.
You hit one of Corey's favorites. So
Butter.
one of the main food groups.
Yeah, butter.
Main food groups.
But I've never thought to eat like raccoon. Just I guess it's one of those things like we've all had
Well, it's like
goose at
coo-
this point.
yeah.
Like
Trash panda, baby.
Trash panda, baby. Well, I mean, there's
it
coon
all
dogs,
comes down
like-
to how you cook it.
right. Yeah.
If you do it right,
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
it would be all right.
well, that's like people eat coyotes too, which
Do they though?
I mean,
Yeah.
I feel
they
like
do.
On purpose or because they have to? This
I
is,
feel like that. I feel like it's something like a raccoon. Like you really have to go with the stew.
Yeah.
Like, see, I
Squirrel.
the cabbage
rabbit.
Squirrel,
covers it
rabbit,
up.
turtle.
yeah.
Yeah.
I prefer with a stew.
Raisins, cabbage, and raccoon. It was too weird to not share. So
Yeah. So who's going to try this one?
yeah, if
There you
anybody
go.
tries it, write
Get
in,
a
let us
raccoon.
know.
I feel like it's your
Yeah.
recipe of the week. You need to
Find
try it out and
raccoon.
I,
report
uh,
back.
Let's
Go camp out in front of Chris's trash cans.
There are raccoons trying to
Dude,
get at my chickens. So.
We have some rabid raccoons down at the farm. We can
Let's
take
get 'em.
those guys out.
Let's get him.
Yeah.
Right. What'd you eat,
Who's
Andy?
next? So one of the things, this is actually kind of a go-to that I want to get your guys' thoughts on in general. So I love bagels, and then I live in Indianapolis. So I live in, we're in town where these guys live, in a little bit of the burbs. And there's a really popular bagel place down by my house, and called Bagel Fair. Go check it out if you're in Indianapolis.
Bagel Fair.
Great stuff. Their bagels are amazing. They're delicious. But if you buy a dozen bagels and you don't eat them, what do you guys do with them? So I freeze mine. So I'll freeze my bagels.
We
and
freeze a
then-
lot.
So this last week I've been going through a lot of bagels where you pull one out of the freezer, wrap it in a paper towel, pop in the microwave for 30 seconds, cut it open, throw it in the toaster, hit it, and it's just like I got it from the bagel shop that day. So that's been my like go-to this week that I really liked.
I really love bagel breakfast sandwiches.
Oh, so good.
So
There's
good.
nothing better. The egg yolks. So good.
Yeah,
So
so
good.
good.
The messy ones.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So I did I think I texted you guys a picture of it. I did a crock pot chicken legs.
You did, yes.
You did do this. This was a controversial.
It
Yeah.
kind of scared us at first, we'll be
I
honest.
don't think I think everybody was like, I don't know, Corey.
Dude, it's honestly one of my favorites
Yes.
to do. It sounds weird, but it's mustard, a little bit of mustard, brown sugar, maple syrup. I did some chicken broth, and I think I did like a harvest blend of seasoning. I think is what I
Yeah.
put in there. I can't remember what else I put in there, but it's just great because then I can forget about it. Then the house smells really good.
Yes.
And then I can come down and grab them whenever I want.
Our issue wasn't with that. It was just not crisping it up. Right.
Well,
before
I
you
did.
ate
I
it.
did go back and I think I texted
You
you.
did,
Said
yeah.
I put 4 of them in the air fryer.
fryer.
Yes.
Yeah. And they were good.
Was it better, or did you like it?
I mean,
Did you not care?
Here's the thing: I didn't care.
Yeah.
Because it's different because it's fall off the
Yeah.
bone goodness when you don't. But throwing it in the air fryer, I mean, it did crisp it up. It was
different.
nice. But I am
Yeah.
very particular about not drying out chicken. I
Oh, it's
hate
huge.
dried out chicken. Hate it.
Absolutely,
I was
yeah.
nervous if I did it too long in the air fryer, it would dry it out.
Actually, when you said that, my other like thought on it was this would be a fun, like doing exactly what you said, but throw it on the bag for a sous vide and sous vide them that way.
Ooh, yeah.
Because you would
Same
want
with
to
the crock
crisp
pot,
them up
essentially.
instead of the crock pot, but do them in the sous vide.
Yeah.
And then I would take them out, throw them on a pan, and put the broiler on and just crisp those. That would give you that what you like
Yeah.
about them and the crisp.
A lot of time what we do with them is barbecue.
I think the
do a
downside
barbecue.
to the sous vide there is it probably would not smell up your house.
No,
the crock pot
you'd
did,
lose
so
that
No,
part,
yeah,
but
you'd lose that
man,
part.
oh man, those flavors would be in there hardcore.
That'd be
and-
intense, yeah.
Ooh, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Seriously, yeah.
Would you do like would you do an overnight marinade on the bag or?
Yeah, that's what I love about sous vide.
If you vac seal it,
vac seal it,
you
with
would only
stuff
need
in
it
there?
for a few hours,
Yeah.
especially if you chamber vac it.
Yeah.
Like it would just suck right in there. Interesting.
Yeah. So that's what I did.
Yes.
It was
Nice.
good.
Yes. Well, dude, my meal of the week was another Instagram post, but I actually tried this one.
Good.
It was
About time.
I think her name, I can't, I'm looking at it here. Olivia Tiedman, Tiedmann. She's the chef that's
Is it
been
flip-
like
she
flicking
flips
everyone
everybody
off. Yeah,
off?
yeah.
I love her.
Hilarious.
She's
She's
the
awesome
best.
content.
One of my favorites.
Olivia Tied, Oliviatied on
Yeah.
Instagram. She, the other day, it was a long post, or a post she did a long time ago. She did squid ink pasta with seared scallops.
You did this?
That sounds awesome.
I saw that and I was like, holy crap, I
Did you
need to
make the
try
pasta?
this. No, I've never tried making pasta. Maybe
It's
someday
fun.
ever. But,
Gotta do it, yeah.
No, dude, I went to Nicole Taylor's,
Great
like
pla- yeah.
dynamite pasta place here in Indy, and they had squid ink pasta.
So good.
So I bought that. Yeah, went over to what's that grocery store, Saraga, like the international grocery
Oh, yeah,
store.
yeah, in Castleton.
Yeah, yeah. I got some really cool fresh scallops, and dude, it was good.
Yeah.
Grilled the scallops, and then just like the squid ink. If you've never had that, it's like kind of a. Have you had it? Like,
Oh, yeah.
like how would you
Oh,
explain it?
it's
It's almost like you've got some like salty seawater vibes, but it's
Yeah.
not like.
And I saw the shit out of
It-
the water, so
it
I get
doesn't-
all nice. It's like
I don't think it has like a taste.
It doesn't have a taste. It
like
just
it's salty. And
the
it's-
taste. I would say if you had if you do like a spaghetti, squid ink spaghetti, and it's like just regular spaghetti, and you were to try them both at the same time, I think a lot of it's your eye seeing
yeah.
it because it is black.
Well, so it's baked into the noodle.
Okay.
It's,
Oh,
it's,
okay.
it's part of the noodle. It's not like the pasta sauce
Okay.
isn't.
It's essentially like the dye is in there, but it adds a texture, it adds a flavor. It is
It's
definitely
wild, yeah,
better.
just
It's
black
cool.
noodles.
It's fun.
Black
Okay, I
noodles.
gotta try it.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, I have to try that.
I love scallops too.
Yeah, but dude,
Scallops
that,
are hard to
that
cook.
salty pasta, and I think it was like a Alfredo sauce.
Nice.
Okay.
Hers looked and like plated way better than mine, but
Right.
dude, mine was just tasty. It was so good.
I'm sure
I
she
might
did.
actually have some in the. It's in the freezer. Like some, I could probably give you guys some squid ink pasta
So good.
left over.
So
So
good.
it was nice.
She would be one that I'd like to have on.
Dude, she would be
If
awesome.
she would ever have us because her
She's-
attitude
she's too big.
is my favorite.
I know.
So I love it. It's a good
Yeah.
mix of like legitimately good at what she does. Like legitimately, she is extremely
Well,
talented.
she's got me
And
wanting to
got
replace
this-
all my pans. Like
Yeah.
I need to get like those
yeah.
I
official
will
chef
say,
skillets.
Olivia, if you ever see this, I am very seriously. You talk about getting a stainless steel pan like a grown up,
that set.
and I don't have those. I don't have the grown up pans.
Yes.
And I really want
Why-
to do that.
We just got our first.
Nice. One big thing I'm learning about her is like she's always testing the heat before she puts
Yes.
anything on. So
I do
like,
a lot of that.
her
Yeah.
big thing is like the pan needs to come to temp. Like it needs to be just way hotter than
What
I
you
think
think
I
it
do
needs to be.
with any of my stuff. So.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a specific steel tactic. Like that oil needs to be ripping hot if you don't want it to stick.
Otherwise, it will.
Well,
stick.
that's with everything. I mean, that's
I
with
think- yeah.
cast iron too. And
Yeah.
It's actually a solid tip that one of the things I meant to say in our last episode that I didn't say is that like getting your things real hot. It's
Yeah.
almost easier in my opinion to like you can't to cool it down to like to take things back off. I feel like it's easier than a scenario of getting it hot. If you put it on there too soon, it's almost like you're playing from behind the whole
Yep.
time.
Yep.
Versus like what this is about testing that heat, and I've gotten a lot more patient about getting the pan going first.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we learned it here, but maybe probably learned it from her, to be honest. It's just like just getting your fingers wet and just, hitting it like just a little sprinkles of water. And if it evaporates immediately, now it's ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yep. Good stuff.
Nice.
now let's talk about the thing we actually came to talk about.
No good solid transition here, but jerky.
Yes.
Actually, there is a transition. I missed it. Corey, ages ago, you texted us a link, and I've got it pulled up here. The Woodsbound Outdoors.
Yeah. Was not going in the direction that I thought it was going.
No, you've texted us some stuff, but
some things.
no. So it's related because it's social media, but at least this is about dehydrating, and he has 2 posts I kind of want to talk about. But your chili. Yeah. So he dehydrated some chili.
That was amazing, wasn't it?
It looks incredible.
Did you watch it?
Here's the video. Like we'll link to the video so you guys can see it. But he basically
incredible.
You don't get to see it, but it's
sorry, Colton. So he's dehydrating chili. I think you could just eat it like jerky,
like chips.
Like it's like it's soup
I would
chili.
agree.
It's not like a chili.
Well, that's what I mean. Most of the backpacking stuff you buy that's soup is just dehydrated soup.
So he dehydrates it for camping, backpacking, and he rehydrates it at camp, and like he's got this beautiful chili. But I think I would just like snack on those instead of apple chips.
Well, and that's what I thought it was originally, because I saw it from the middle of it, and then when he like threw it back into water, I was like,
good.
That's amazing.
Just so he puts it back into water.
He reconstitutes it.
But I see.
But I wouldn't. Like it would just be
he's throwing
chili
chips
jerky
into the.
And then turns it back into chili.
Yeah, so kind of a
holy smokes.
And it looks legit. Like it looks like the day he made it.
Yeah,
I'd like to try dehydrating more stuff.
Glorious beard.
You should definitely follow him. He's got some incredible,
really cool content. So a few posts before that dehydrated chili, he's got this post where he like legitimately
look
makes.
what knife he's using.
What's he using?
The Outdoor Edge.
Nice. I missed it. Yeah. Cheat code OKC20 for 20% off.
Here we go.
But yeah, he's like making jerky, kind of like they do on what's that show that we love? Alone. Yeah. Campfire jerky, which I've got some thoughts on, like the smoke he's using. Like it'd be a good campfire taste, but it wouldn't be a good like smoke taste. So listeners, tune in, see what you think about this style of smoking. Yes, it works like in the backcountry. Like if you're on alone and this is your only option, 100% it's going to work. It's going to taste okay. But if you've got like a Traeger, this is probably not going to be as good.
No.
This the Woods Bound Outdoors backcountry smoking, it's different. But I mean, it looks exactly like any other piece of jerky. Like in the end, it's got some ash on it, but
but it dries out.
Is this something you guys would attempt?
Oh, absolutely.
Making jerky, over a campfire.
Absolutely.
Absolutely not. I'll be using your dehydrator with you running it.
Well, so here, let's get into the episode here. Let's talk about methods and whatnot, because yes, I started with my dehydrator, but I do not use it for jerky anymore. What do you guys do?
We have a dehydrator. That's like, I swear, my parents got it 40 years ago.
Like one of those old school ones with the coil and it's just heat and...
No, it's not that old. But
not that old.
I mean, it used to be white. It's yellow now.
The plastic is that old?
Yeah.
Yes. Colton, you made some jerky.
You got me hooked on the smoker. Doing it in the smoker. It gives it that nice flavor.
I don't have a smoker.
I will say,
I do.
In theory,
It holds my beer.
you can set the dehydrator and the smoker to the same temperature, but for whatever reason, it does seem easier to control with the dehydrator.
It is.
Like I've definitely overcooked my jerky before in the smoker, and I feel like it's hard to do that with the dehydrator for whatever reason. I don't really understand the mechanics. But
Because you're setting it to a specific time and a specific heat, and I feel like it's a little bit
electronic.
It's a little bit more controlled in that in that enclosed.
So can we talk
environment.
about, because I don't know anything about this. So like let's go through like what a dehydrator does. Obviously it's in the name. It dehydrates the meat, but like how is it doing? Is it just like a baking it type of scenario? Or like what's happening to the moisture?
Someone explain a few different options as far as the unit goes. The old school one, like I don't know the style you have, but the style my dad had was it literally was just, it looked like a donut, and they're just donut trays that you put on there that are I mean, there's holes in the bottom, and there's a big like heating coil at the very bottom.
Yeah.
And the machine had 2 or 3 different settings, like high, medium, low. And you basically you turn that on, and just stack up your trays of raw meat, and just let it go.
All it is circulating heat at a lower temperature.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
They're just drying it out. Well,
yeah,
hints.
because if
Because
you,
the moisture just evaporates out the top,
Yeah.
because there's some slots at the top as well.
which is why, I mean, we'll get into it later, but with making jerky, that's why when you're doing any sort of meat, like curing it is so important, because you're cooking it at such a lower temp where it's in that prime area for bacteria growth if you don't cure it in a specific way or whatnot. So
I mean, because it's in there for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 6, 7, 8 hours.
So what's curing? Is this a process before you put it in the dehydrator? Are we gonna get into like how to make jerky? Or are we?
Yeah.
I don't know
Kind of,
anything
yeah.
about it. So
Let's talk more about the equipment.
Yeah.
Real quick, and then we can get into like specific recipes.
okay. So curing would be part of a recipe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. That's what you do. Like,
and
Medium
then
marinade.
like the dehydrators, right, isn't like high would be, just for
I think it's
reference,
just hotter.
like 180 degrees. Like they don't,
On those old school machines, I don't
I
know.
don't think they go that high.
but it's much
question.
lower than
Yeah.
any, like
Yeah.
even smoking generally
yeah,
is
yeah.
above 200, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
160.
So I've got one of the meat machines, and I don't know the exact range, but I want to say the lowest might be something like 95, and the highest, is definitely up near 200 if it's not 200.
okay.
But the meat machines, I like it a lot better. I think it does a better job. It does faster. So I think I have the 6 tray, and it's basically just like a chamber, and you slide your trays in, and it's got a huge fan in the back that circulates air.
Okay.
But essentially, it's the same process, but the meat machine, like the fan circulates air, versus the old school machine that's just like the heat lifts the moisture out.
Gotcha.
So the newer machines do it a lot faster with that fan,
Gotcha.
but it's still like the exact same technology. Like you're applying heat, and then just the air is removing the water from your product. But yeah, so my buddy Mitch turned me on to smoking your jerky, and I'm just hands down 100% on board with that, just because I love that smoky flavor.
I've eaten a lot of your jerky, and it's
Yeah.
always very, very good.
Yes. And that's literally the only difference, is just smoke flavor.
Yeah,
in the
see,
jerky.
like this
So-
one, like it tops out at 165.
Which one's that?
Just this real cheap one.
Okay, yeah. So similar style, that donut machine, but a little bit more digital. You can see and control the temperature a little bit better.
So one thing I'll say about smoking it, and Chris, I'm sure you've run into this as well. Something I did incorrectly at first. Like if you're listening and you're gonna try smoking jerky, clean out your smoker beforehand, because when you're doing that low of a temp on your smoker, a lot of ash builds up quick. So I've had it before where like my jerky is just coated with ash because it,
It's
the chamber
not
fills
a
up.
horrible thing. Like you
Yeah.
dust them off. It's fine.
Yeah, but you can definitely get that like bitter taste out of it.
That's
If
true,
you
yeah.
sometimes when you over smoke things, it
Yeah.
becomes bitter.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I feel like it might not be in there long enough to get some of that, like to over smoke it. Like I've never over smoked jerky, like even going that low. I feel like it's
I have.
2 hours. I feel like it's
Yeah.
pretty rare that I go over 2.5 hours.
That was gonna be my
on the
next question.
smoker.
Like how long does this process take?
Yes, I mean, smokers way
It depends.
faster.
It depends. It is a lot faster, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the heat's a little bit higher.
How thick your jerky is too.
That's a huge
That's a
factor.
huge factor.
So
I
you
think
cut
that
it.
is the factor.
So in your, I guess in your opinions, like let's talk about that. Cut thick, cut thin.
Thin. I like it thin.
I'm a thick cook guy.
I'm in between.
I like some body to my jerky.
I like to
I
be able to
also
rip it apart.
I also like it so it's not fully dehydrated.
Right. You
So
like a
so
little
my jerky,
chewy, or yours is always.
yeah, a little bit. So
This
it's
is-
thicker. It's not like it's not rock hard,
Right.
but it will go bad a lot faster if you do not refrigerate it. Like it will mold real quick on your counter. So it's not as shelf stable. But I do a huge batch. I freeze it, and then it's in like I got like little bags, like just like portion bags, and when I thaw it, like it doesn't last long enough to go bad. So that's my tactic.
You thick or thin?
You said medium.
In between.
Depends.
I don't
Stuck
like
in
it.
the middle.
If I cut it too thin, I just tend to overcook it to where it gets brittle, and like
Yeah.
you don't want that. But so I go, but I don't like it thick to the point of
Chewy.
yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I
Or
like
just
it.
taking 10 hours on the smoker.
Yeah.
I like doing it really thin, but I will tell you, maybe I'm an idiot, but I found some in my bag from last season and I ate it and it was,
Oh, yeah.
it tastes just as good.
Yeah. If you get it dry
Sit-
enough, like it just
sitting in my bag for
will
a
not
year.
go bad.
Yeah.
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 Well, like you said, if you cured it,
Cured it good, yeah. If
dried
it's
it
dry
out,
enough.
there's really not a whole lot left to.
Ours is always like, I mean, I don't want to say paper thin, but it's thin enough that you can just
You can kind of see through it.
crack it,
Yes.
quickly. I mean, if you're getting long strips in a baggie, by the time you get to your tree stand, it's not in long strips anymore.
It shatters along the way.
Yeah.
It's dust.
Yes.
Pieces.
Yes. Well, let's. I guess we can kind of jump into just making jerky, like from the beginning. So, like, do you guys have specific cuts you like to use, whether that's beef or venison or turkey? What do you guys try?
I've only ever done venison.
Really?
I've only done goose and venison.
Yes.
Your guys' goose jerky I've had.
The
Like I
goose
said,
is
I'm a
so
connoisseur of eating the jerky, just not of making it.
And he's got opinions.
I have opinions about it.
He doesn't
what
know
it
what he's
tastes
doing,
like,
but
but
he's
I
got
don't know.
opinions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah, I'm personally beef jerky. Like, I'm less a fan of that. I think there's something about the fat that I don't know. Just I'm not. I'll eat it. It's fine. But like, if I had a choice, like I like the lean meats a little bit better in jerky.
I think once you have like a venison jerky, like a deer jerky, beef jerky just doesn't. It doesn't.
Just
hit.
different.
It's different.
Yeah. I think it carries flavor like in a different way. It's just different. You just got to try it and see what you like better. So on that note, I have not made beef jerky. What I have made, I think so. We've dehydrated chicken. That wasn't necessarily jerky for a camping trip.
I was like, why?
It was, yeah, for a camping trip, like rehydrating it for stews and stuff. We did the Grand Canyon, and my dad dehydrated a bunch of raw chicken. It was disgusting.
I
Like
bet.
just looking at it, thinking about it, but it was chicken jerky. Like it was fine. Like it lasted the whole week, and it was great in the stew. But yeah, as far as like making jerky, like my go-tos are like Colton said, they have goose, venison, like top notch.
Yeah.
We definitely like the bigger football roast. I haven't learned all the cuts.
Yeah, that's the
Cut
thing. Like when we were
names,
talking
quite-
about like
yeah.
which piece of it, like you guys are doing. Like I
Yes.
was looking at my freezer. I've got a chunk that I've got. I literally wrote on it. Go could be jerky. I think I got it says on the back.
Yeah.
The big roasts are good though, because
literally
you can
any
get
of the
good,
roast, yeah.
good strips out of them.
Right.
Yeah.
There's part of me that's wants to jerky some of the backstrap. And I don't know if that's going to get some hate or not.
I did
I'll
that.
give you some hate.
You did it?
Yeah.
Was a fan?
Was it good? Could you taste the difference?
It was because it was a smaller deer, and I had
Is this old double shot?
yeah.
So it's double shot, not headshot.
Oh, that the one you've
Same
seen the
one.
picture.
Yeah.
Crisscross
tell that story
applesauce.
later on.
Yeah. It's an interesting story.
But yeah, I think literally any cut of meat will jerky.
It just
I would
depends
say
on what you want.
I would like to try making beef jerky. I mean, I still
Yeah.
like beef jerky quite a bit, but
Yeah.
I did read it's the opposite of what you would think. So like, I feel like on like deer, for example, we all love backstrap because it's lean. There's not a lot of fat because in wild venison, the fat isn't the greatest texture or flavor. But when you're making beef jerky, you're supposed to use the really lean cuts that normally don't grill well because you don't want a lot of fat in them because
that would make
because the fat goes bad and whatnot. But so I don't know what that cut would be, but
Sure, somebody who knows how to cut up a cow would tell us.
I'm sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
So how are you guys cutting your roast? Do you have preferences there with grain against grain?
I have strong preferences there.
Ooh, tell us.
Way in.
Tell us.
It's not like I've made that much jerky at this point, but I've made like probably
Enough
six
to
or
have an
seven
opinion.
batches.
This is a podcast, brother. There's no one's. You can be strong.
Yeah. So Chris got me to try his meat slicer, and for whatever reason, I mean, it sounds like it's the way to go, and maybe that is for you, Chris. I don't know. I very quickly determined that I would never use one again.
Really?
I prefer I'll freeze my roast and just cut it with a knife because, and maybe I'm using the slicer wrong. I don't know. I can get the most even slices just freehanding it. And then I can cut them exactly how I want them.
With the grain, against the grain, how does that work?
Against the grain, kind of like a brisket.
Okay.
That way it's softer.
Would you agree? Is that how you do yours?
You know, I've tried it both ways, and I honestly can tell you that I did not notice that big of a difference. So it kind of boils down to tenderness.
I
So
feel like with beef jerky, when it's cross grain cut, you can almost like kind of
pull it apart.
Pull it apart,
differently
yeah.
than with like if you do the long ways, it'll be a little more sturdy.
And
So-
I mean, goose, I mean, muscle is muscle. Like goose can't be that different than beef, right? Because I tried it with goose breast, and I had like one full goose, so 2 breasts, and the left breast I did cut the grain. Right breast I went with the grain, and like I put them all in the same bag, and I could not tell you which was which.
Well, so
after the fact.
I will weigh in on this. Muscle is not just muscle. When it comes to that muscle and that bird, like on a bird in that scenario, you've probably noticed this before in meats. You just never really maybe picked up on this, but like backstrap compared to some of the rear roast, like the rump roast. If you were to cross grain cut that, you'll be like if you were to look at it raw, one's gonna like hold its form a little bit better than the other, and that just has more to do with the distance between the muscle tendons and also the internal fats that are inside of that. Like it's the way the tendons and the muscles are actually constructed.
So I need to do this experiment on not a goose breast.
Not a goose breast.
Okay.
I think if you did the same experiment, like if you took a same rear like rump roast and you were to do half of it this way and then take the other half and then do it the other way, you would see a noticeable difference in what that would actually.
I'll try that again. Yeah.
Like. I think the muscle fibers are in fact different.
Yeah. But I honestly, I do go back and forth on like too chewy, like easy to chew. Like I don't really have a strong opinion. Like I could eat both just fine.
You like jerky.
I like jerky.
Like wine's good. It tastes like grapes.
Yeah.
Jerky's good.
I like using the meat slicer for it.
I'm digging the meat
I
slicer
don't have
because
as good a knife for it, maybe.
I don't have that control, and I need help with my consistency.
Yeah. But if anyone's gonna have phenomenal control with a knife, it's probably Holden. So,
Young gun,
and he just likes attention to detail.
even with all the coffee in his system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that detailed.
Yes.
That third cup of coffee really starts to steady my hands.
It's shaking and it just hones
Like,
it.
I think it's your like experience with a carpaccio, like that helps your jerky, like your knife skills.
That's a great side note. That I made venison carpaccio. I don't know if I'm saying
You
that
did it
right,
again?
but no, but just a couple times
Yeah.
last year when I actually had meat in the freezer. Did not have a successful year this year, partly because
You had a baby.
Yeah, had a baby, so hard to get out. But venison carpaccio was probably
And for the folks at home and don't know what that is,
so it's raw venison, just essentially rolled real thin with some seasoning or salt or
essentially
something.
cured.
We're off topic here. That's a different
It's
episode.
It's jerky
Different
raw.
episode.
It's like raw jerky.
Yeah,
It's raw jerky. Yes.
Raw jerky.
It's jerky adjacent. That's
I'm a
fine.
fan.
It's kind of Corey style jerky, so it's real thin.
Real thin.
so
There
it's-
is no butter though. There's no butter.
No.
or brown sugar.
Or brown sugar.
But we could do a Corey version.
We could make a sweet jerky.
Again, different episode. We're off topic here. So we've got our meats. We've got it cut. Again, I like the slicer. Colton freehands it. Corey likes it thin. I like it thick. When your jerky, like when you cut it, Corey, like how thin are you cutting it? So then it dehydrates down to about paper thin. Like, do you have like an inch measurement? Is a 1/4 inch too big for you, or
No, I'd say 1/4 inch.
yeah?
A 1/4 inch seems really thick.
That seems pretty thick. Yeah.
So when I set the setting, if I'm thinking properly, the setting is like two over.
Yeah, like 2
So
clicks
like
over.
it's
An eighth of an inch, maybe.
I forget the measurements.
I don't know what the
There's a
measurements
number.
are.
Yeah, there's a number on my slicer, and that might be millimeters or.
It's not. I will tell you, it's not like paper thin.
Yeah.
It might be this paper,
Oh, jeez. That's thin.
but I mean, it's it's thick enough that like
Yeah.
when it does dehydrate down, it's not. I can't see through it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not that thin.
Yeah.
But it is pretty thin.
Yeah, honestly, so when I cut my jerky, I think I did a 1/4 inch last time, and I think it came out too crispy for me. So when I cut my jerky next, a 1/2 inch is way too thick, but
Like 3/8.
it's gonna be like
1/4
like
inches.
3/8 or
I think what's on most of like the
I would assume a 1/4 inch is what.
packaging for like seasonings that you can just like kits that you can buy.
Yeah.
I've watched
Yeah.
a lot of YouTube videos on this, and I feel like a 1/4 inch is what most of the packs say. But I've again zero experience here.
I mean,
So that's where I
I'd
tend to
probably say
land,
that. I'd-
1/4 inch.
I'm probably half that.
yeah.
I'm
And you,
probably half that.
obviously, you're paying attention. You could probably stop it
Yeah.
from dehydrating at any point in time.
right.
And I probably just let it go a little bit too long.
Well, that was going to be
on
my
the
next
smoker.
question. Do you guys?
Yeah.
Is it like pasta? Like when you're making pasta, you're right.
I like
get
my
to a
jerky
point,
al dente,
You'll
yes.
pull it out and taste the piece. Are we?
Yeah.
Are we there? Are we not there? Is that
Yeah.
how you do jerky too?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, you taste it? You don't throw your pasta against the wall?
No, I have a wife. I would die. Yes, Krista would.
The first time I did that after we're married, she was
She was like, never again.
"What are you doing?" She said, "It's how I know if the ramen's done."
Yes. We had jerky, and like it's whatever device you're cooking it in. Like there are, hot spots. So you got to kind of watch it. You got to rotate trays, all the
Right.
things. So
I'm gonna have to have one of you guys come over and look at my smoker in general. I think I just need to clean it real good. And
Yeah.
'cause it was a
clean out the
hand-me-down.
cobwebs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fire it up.
Get the beer coaster off the top.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Yeah. So we cut our meats. We're good to go. Marinade.
Say marinated.
Marinade.
Or
What do you
rub.
guys do in here?
I've never marinated, just rub.
Oh, really? Okay.
Same.
See, I'm
Same.
kind of new to rubs, honestly. Beforehand, it was all marinades, and like I was a liquid smoke dude, so I like rocking that pretty hardcore before I got to Traeger.
Which we did find out
yes,
after review that is in fact
Liquid smoke.
It's legitimately liquid smoke.
legitimately smoke.
Yes.
I guess to clarify something on that though, I don't know if this your guys. So I do all the dry rubs, whether it's a recipe or like a pre-bought kit or something. But you're doing it over the course of 3 days. So I mean, once it's in there for about 6 hours, it essentially turns into a marinade because it pulls all the
Yeah.
moisture out of the meat. And,
Ish, yeah.
I mean, it's in some
depends
liquid.
on-
3 days, huh?
I think it depends on
You
the
left that part
state
out.
of your meat, because I've been getting into like the dry aging, like in the fridge.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if I dry age my venison for like a week or 2 weeks, I do not get liquid.
You're talking about
in my
open,
marinade.
open air, right? Like
Just like a whole quarter in my garage fridge, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And yeah, last time I did jerky, it was dry. Like when I pulled it out 3 days later, 2 days later, whatever the package said, and no liquid came out of that meat.
Okay.
Interesting.
My mom does.
But sometimes it does, yeah.
She does do a teriyaki, so I'm assuming
Yeah.
that would be a marinade.
Mhm.
But it's pretty.
Yeah,
good.
and my dad uses coffee in some of his
I've heard about that.
jerky
Oh,
marinades. So,
good.
That sounds good.
yeah,
Sounds amazing.
yeah. So for our next coffee episode, we'll
Have jerky.
have coffee jerky. Yes.
The number one thing to me that affects the flavor, not just smoking versus slice versus marinade, whatever, is getting that cure evenly on the jerky when you're doing
Yes.
it, because I've had batches where I can tell it's not, and
Oh, yeah.
the flavor that the cure gives the meat is very distinct. I
Yes.
mean,
Yeah. So if you're marinating, like, yeah, you wad up your bag, it mixes just fine. But if you're doing cures like a dust, like the last batch I did, I just threw it in my big bowl and just tried to mix it up. And yeah, I had pieces that weren't cured as well as they should have been. And so
because they retain moisture too better when they're
Yeah.
cured.
Yeah. So I use High Mountain. I love their seasonings. Like for jerky, it's kind of my go-to now. I love all their stuff. Their Inferno is awesome. I love the Inferno. And their recommendation is to take your jerky and flatten it out on a cookie sheet and like sprinkle your marinade, sprinkle the cure mix onto the jerky, flip it over, sprinkle it on again. And that's where I failed. So I just threw it all in the bowl. I threw all the stuff in there and mixed it up, and it wasn't as good. But
How do you?
Yeah, I didn't realize you're supposed to do that. So that's
read
my
the
problem
instructions,
right there,
Colton.
yeah.
I've never used a mix.
yeah,
I was going to ask next. I was like,
That's your custom mix,
what's
or-
in the mix that makes the mix worth doing over just doing yourself?
So
there's less to think about.
yeah,
If you buy it from
I would
High
say the
Mountain.
biggest thing with a mix is it's in my experience at least, it's hard to measure out the right amount of cure.
That's what I was thinking it was probably the proper amount of curing salt.
Yeah, because we don't, especially if you're curing with, there's different kinds of salt. If you're curing with pink salt, it's a much smaller amount than you would think, like less than a teaspoon for a batch.
And that's the, what's it called? It's not Instacure.
Instacure
Prog
number 1 or number 2. I
It is
forget.
Instacure. What am I thinking of?
They're the same thing. Instacure, Prog Powder.
I'm thinking
multiple
of
names.
The Morton's.
Yeah,
There's some
Morton's
stuff with
Tender
sugar.
Quick.
Morton's,
Tender Quick,
yeah.
that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
I don't have the most accurate scale at home.
I had to get one of the real tiny ones.
Yeah. So unless you have one of
scale.
those, that's where, like, to answer your
You just
question.
don't have that in your cocaine drawer or anything?
No.
Anymore?
PG.
I need one for my my coffee here,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I want to get one. I actually want to get one for my coffee as well because
Yeah.
I use this is bad, but I use a food scale.
that's what I
to
use.
measure coffee.
It's not big enough. Yeah. But yeah,
not
Colton's right.
exact.
Getting that specific measurement is really hard.
Yeah.
If you want to do it right. And I feel like with that kind of salt, like you want to do it right.
That makes sense.
Because like if you get too little, like it's not going to be
Well, it
as
just seems like
stable.
the whole thing's like it's a much more in time. It's a bigger process than grilling a steak or
It is,
something like
yeah.
that. So you like the
Slightly more scientific. I mean,
Yeah.
can you fudge it? Yes, but you got to take care of it. You got to
So-
put it in the fridge. Be careful.
you do your own. So how are you figuring that
I use
out?
my mom's recipe.
Mom's okay, gotcha.
Like
Yeah,
with
I-
curing salts or
Yeah,
just
I don't
table salt?
deviate from it.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
it would make sense why
Yeah.
because it's harder to do that.
I mean, and I'll be honest, every year it's that. I mean, because I've only ever done it. I've done it a couple times. Every year that she's made it since I've been a part of their family, it's exactly the same
Nice.
every single year.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't
That's awesome.
change. So,
The consistency is huge.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest with you. Like, so before High Mountain, I never used curing salt. My marinades, yeah, they had some salt in it, but it was never like
Just-
a cured product.
But it's just like table salt.
Mhm. Yeah, just like kosher salt.
Yeah.
But I think the cure is like game changing. I mean, the color.
Do we know what
It gives,
Do you guys know anything about like what makes curing salt versus table salt? Colton.
Research.
Colton, the science guy.
I'll get the Googles. If Colton.
Yeah, look it up. There's I'm gonna butcher this. There's specific components to the salt that are added to it. It's like
Well,
sodium.
they're totally different chemicals.
Yeah.
For one, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
they're still in the salt family, but it's
Got
like
it.
it's the nitrates.
Yeah, and that's where getting kind of, so if you don't use enough, then which jerky's a little different because the meat's thin enough, you're drying it out, the risk is reduced. But if you don't use enough, you run more of a foodborne illness risk of
That's more for like the pastrami's and the
Yeah.
botulism, things like that. But then if you use too much, I mean, the nitrites,
good for
like
you.
those are not good for you, especially in large quantities. So that's where I'm actually, hopefully I'll have an update on a later episode. Bearded Butcher, I think we've mentioned them. They have a curing powder that they derive out of, I think it's celery. So it's
Oh, sweet.
natural nitrites found in celery. So it's supposed to be, healthier for
That's
you.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we'll look into that for sure. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm a huge fan of the curing salt. Like just again the color it gives,
The
just
flavor too.
Well,
It's
I'll have
just
to
good
try
flavor
it.
salt.
I have to try
Yeah.
one. I know I've specifically gone 100% away from kosher salt.
Oh yeah.
I only use Celtic sea salt.
Okay. What's the difference? It's just not.
Does it allow-
rabbi
Well,
approved?
It's got like you probably know more about it than I do, but it has 72 of the minerals
Yeah.
for Celtic sea salt.
So again, we're getting off topic. We're bouncing around too much here.
So, but
yeah,
I'm
like we
wondering
talked
if
about
that
last
would-
week. Yeah.
I'm
well,
wondering what that would do. I'm wondering
Okay.
what like using Celtic sea salt
Yeah,
would
yeah.
do. For
Well,
the
it's
salt.
chemically, it was the question about the nitrate level. Sounds
Yeah.
like it's the
We'll,
big differentiator.
we'll ask Chef Ricky on our salt episode.
Yeah, I forgot we have that coming up.
Yes, coming up at some point. Flavor profiles. I mean, do you guys bounce around? Like, I know your mom's is locked in. Use her recipe. Yeah. Colton.
Yeah, I bounce around. I'm a big fan of the basics with everything. I mean, same with steaks,
Oh,
but I mean, my favorite jerky blend is the right now the High Mountain. Giving them a shout out. Their Hunter's blend, which is just
That's a good one.
Salt, pepper, garlic.
Yep,
I
that's what ours is.
I recently tried they have a bourbon barbecue one. Ooh. It was interesting, kind of odd.
Yeah.
It's more of like kind of like a tangy barbecue, and I'm not as big of a fan of like the tangy barbecue like that, but I like more the robust kind of smoky barbecues. But
I like eating whatever jerky you guys give me, which usually in the truck.
that's
In your truck.
trying to feel like what I gave you. Probably a High Mountain.
Probably High Mountain, yeah.
But also like my recipe that I have stopped using because I like High Mountain better.
So my favorite recipe for goose is actually another Hank Shaw one. We've mentioned his name a lot. So I like heat in my jerky, but a lot of the store-bought ones,
They're never hot enough.
Yeah, Chris, I'm sure you'd agree. They're never hot enough. They always claim they are, and they're not. But his is good. I mean, because you can tailor it. But his is a little interesting. It's good for goose because goose can, depending on how you prepare it, sometimes have a bit of a irony taste to it. Just if you don't drain all the blood out right and stuff. But he uses mushroom powder in his, and
That would be good.
yeah. So mushroom powder and red pepper flakes. So I put, I think 4 or 5 times the amount he says, but
Of the mushroom.
of the red pepper flakes. But
Yeah, so Danielle Pruitt made the Gnome on the Range for Meat Eater. Spiceology.
Yeah.
Like, that would be, I've never tried it in jerky, but I think that would be dynamite.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Do you, with the goose, is it longer? Is it a longer process?
No, same
Not
as
the same?
Same as
It's the
anything
same.
else. No.
I definitely like venison better, but like Andy said earlier, I just have a hard time making my venison in jerky.
Yeah. Just
Especially when you don't have a
save the goose
successful
for
year.
jerky. Yes. Where was I going to go with that? Cheat codes. We've got an episode coming out on cheat codes, but I just listened to another podcast where they talk about MSG. What do you guys think about putting that on jerky?
As you guys were talking about the different like chemicals and the different numbers and all that, I'm like, oh, so we're just getting to the MSG game.
We need
right
to
now.
we need to talk to your health people about like
Oh yeah, well I've got
what's
lots
actually
of-
good, what's actually bad.
Yeah.
Jason and Michael Thomas might have an opinion on MSG, but the podcast
I don't even know what it is.
Well, it was Western Territories. Yeah, their latest podcast with Kill and Grill.
Yeah.
They talk about MSG and
So it's an
got me thinking
additive.
about it. Yeah.
It tends to get brought up with salt because it has a salty flavor to it, but it's actually more of a savory flavor that gets added
kind of
to things.
umami,
It's
yeah.
umami is like what it's, and that's why it's in a lot of, it is in a lot of Asian cuisines because it does add that umami savor, what we would call savory in the West, flavors to it, but it is in large quantities, it is not good for you.
like everything else.
Like
probably.
everything else, but
Yes.
I mean, little bits of it is going to kill you. I mean, there's lots of other things that's going to get you in this world.
Yeah, well, listeners, go over to the Western Territories episode with Elliot Beckstrom, Kill and Grill on Instagram. They talk about MSG
Network.
a little bit there. Now they talk about it more like in the Asian cuisine. I think Japanese specific. They were talking about it. But yeah, kind of like an umami, mushroomy salt flavor.
Yeah, it's good.
So
I think
you've had it and you've loved it. I mean, it's good.
I don't doubt that, but I guess my question is, if it's bad for you, why could you not just use a mixture like salt and
quote unquote
porcini powder or something?
It's bad for you like nitrites are bad for you. It's bad for you like too much fat's bad for you. It's all in moderation.
Right.
With my limited understanding, that's what I believe.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll talk to somebody
Yes.
more
Talk to
official
someone who
at
actually
some
knows
point.
more about that. It's a great conversation
but-
for Caitlin.
I really want to like get a jar of MSG and just start putting it in stuff and just in delicate little quantities, quantities.
Yeah.
But I want to put
back to the
MSG
cocaine. He's back there
in
measuring it out
my
on his little
jerky.
scale.
Yeah, I want to see like how it elevates stuff. And I want to take it up a notch.
It will elevate for sure.
Yes, but the MSG will be in our
Kind of like your
cheat code
yeast,
episode.
You know,
Just like nutritional yeast. Yeah.
We're back at it.
And liquid smoke.
Liquid smoke. Yes. So the cheat code
Cheat code
episode is coming up.
episode's
Yeah,
gonna be
it's gonna be a good
good.
one. We got a few more minutes here. So we're marinating. Yeah, flavors. Yeah, High Mountain's great. If you guys don't have a standard seasoning kit you like.
I have a question on like you mentioned shelf life earlier and how yours being thicker cut doesn't always stay
A little bit thicker, a little bit less dehydrated.
So,
yeah.
but like on average, if you like, I feel like beef jerky that you get at the gas station it always has like expires by, and it's like 17 years from
like
now.
a best to buy.
But it's like forever from now. So it seems to be a good way to like, and I think that's the whole purpose of it, is that it'll last longer than just raw meat sitting there. That's why it started, right?
Yeah.
So I guess tell me, I mean, how you said you found some in your bag from a year ago. What's the like how long's till where you guys are starting to, you're rolling the dice a little bit, or does it not last long enough?
I'd say for me, I mean, one, that's probably the case. I would say with most of us, is it just doesn't last that long.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'd say if you
have it in your bag and you
or something
forgot
like that,
about it, yeah.
I would not question it after maybe 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, it was a full year and it didn't taste any different.
Mine-
but I'm sure that was probably stupid.
You
Mine,
just figure out what's going on in your tummy.
That's probably it.
my jerky would not last a week. Like if it was on the counter, it would just mold. Just because that's the way I like it, thicker, more moisture.
If you do it right, especially if you buy like a kit, I think most of the kits say, they're good for a couple weeks on the counter. I tend to just refrigerate mine, and refrigerated, I think
It's always safer.
you're good till about a month, and then you should freeze it. But my last batch, I didn't dehydrate enough, and what Chris said, it started like getting gross after like 4 days.
Yeah.
So
On the counter.
yeah.
Yeah.
And part of that was,
With curing salt.
so yeah,
well,
this is
or-
one that I did myself, though. I didn't measure it out. I did measure it out myself. I didn't use a kit, and that just scares me a little bit. So that's why
Roll
I
the
err
dice.
on the side of the
Roll the
kids.
dice,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I'd like to know what they do, like at the gas station, like
How does
it's
that
Well,
jacked full of preservatives.
oh,
and
I'm
all
sure
this
it probably
stuff,
is. But if you
curing
read
salts.
the bag too, it says to refrigerate after opening.
Yeah, it
Oh, it
does.
does.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah,
It does.
it does say refrigerate after opening.
I gotcha.
The big thing there is the air. So when I say like good for a couple weeks on the counter, that's like vac sealed, unopened.
Oh, see, mine are just in Ziploc bags. Like,
Yeah,
my
ours-
hands are going in there every day, and
Yeah.
That's the
Introducing
thing.
all sorts of weird
ours
stuff.
are always just in Ziploc bags, and
Yeah.
I'll
vac seal them when I freeze them.
I'll ask
but
I'll ask my mom what she does and what her opinion is on
Yeah.
it, maybe.
The-
But dude, it's always months. It'll be because they'll take a half a deer
Yeah.
and do it.
Jerky?
Yeah,
Oh,
well-
well, they love it. That's what they make. They love it.
So moisture is a big thing with that too. Like if you're never refrigerating or freezing it, then it probably lasts longer. Like I've noticed, like if I freeze some and take it out because of the condensation
It
and
won't last as
whatnot,
long.
like
Yeah,
it'll go
that
bad
makes
a lot
sense.
quicker at
That
that
makes
point.
sense.
Even though the frozen, it will in theory last longer once you
It'll
start
last
that.
longer because it's frozen, but as soon as it comes out, it's
Yeah,
not gonna last.
yeah.
Introducing more of that moisture back
Yeah,
into it.
that's why like all the store bought ones too. You'll see the little like air.
That thing
Yeah.
there that holds some moisture out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because they make so much. I mean, what are the big Ziplocs? Are they gallon bags?
Yeah, usually.
Mm-hmm.
They'll do 10, 15 of those.
Jeez. That's
Jeez.
a lot.
Or-
Yeah.
So
Yes. Yeah. Well, we got like 4 minutes to go here. So, anything else you guys want to chat about? Did we miss anything?
You didn't know.
I mean,
Do you have a
we talked
recipe?
about, we did it kind of backwards. Yeah. We'll do a recipe here. Cooking. Yeah. Just experiment with stuff. Yeah. I'm curious what the listeners are going to do with their
yeah,
recipes and cooking
Right.
processes.
Just curious how many people at home actually do
Timelines.
their own jerky.
Yeah.
yeah, that would be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if we need to touch on like quantities, right? I was talking to Andy earlier about if you've got, I think, gosh, I did probably 5 pounds of roast, turned it into jerky, and I got like maybe 1.5 pounds of jerky.
Yeah,
It's like you lose a
pretty
ton
accurate.
of water. But yeah, Andy, you were mentioning like it's the exact same protein content.
Right, and that's the thing. For the
It's
most,
just-
that's why
you're just not eating that water.
Yeah. So if you've never thought about making your own jerky, and like the only jerky experience you've ever had is at the gas station, which is going to be a lot of people, and you're like, why is jerky so expensive? And well, that's why. And the answer is the fact that like what Chris just said, when he made that batch, he took 6 pounds of meat.
Yeah.
Now go to the grocery store and find out like a 6 pound roast, what that would
Yeah.
cost at the grocery store.
Probably as much as a bag of jerky.
Probably roughly about that. So,
Yeah.
so that's why it's so expensive, is because it is in fact the same amount of actual meat to start from, but also from a protein count. That's why it's a great snack.
Yeah.
because it's very high in protein.
Yeah.
But again, like in all things, a lot of moderations, because there are a lot of nitrates involved. But it is a great source of protein, especially for those of you who are maybe trying to hit your protein numbers and try to get those numbers up. It's a very, very good cheat code to get there.
Or I've got a buddy who works outdoors and like he's constantly sweating a ton.
Yep.
That's
So
great.
he needs quick, easy
Sodium.
lunches. So like jerky, like it's gonna give him that salt back. It's gonna give him a
Protein
quick,
back
easy
in.
lunch on the go. So
I mean, it's our go-to road trip snack.
Oh,
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely, yeah.
Those
It's
are
not a
usually
road
always
trip
bad.
without jerky.
it's awesome. Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, we got to wrap it up here real quick. This is one of the jerky recipes that I used to use. I've since gotten lazy and just buy High Mountain, and it works. It's awesome. I love it. But this is also another awesome recipe that I liked, and it is a cup of soy sauce, quarter cup of orange juice, the zest of 1 orange, 1.5 tablespoons of honey, 3 cloves of garlic finely minced, 2 shallots finely minced, 1 jalapeno finely minced, a tablespoon of brown sugar.
There you go, Corey.
There it is, Corey. A tablespoon of freshly ground black pepper, a tablespoon of red pepper flakes, a tablespoon of ground ginger, a teaspoon onion powder, a teaspoon of cumin, a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and half teaspoon of ground cloves. Some cool additions. You could always throw in a little bit of coffee. You could always throw in a little bit more, like I love red pepper flakes in mine, like those big chunky peppers. And this is good for about 2 pounds of meat from basically any animal you want. I think barring like chicken and pheasant, like any like dark meat animal,
Yeah,
goose,
any red meat.
venison, beef, it'll all work. So yeah, combine all that in a bowl, mix it up real good. Add it to your cut meat, at the thickness of your preference. And I would say just cure it for, between 12 and 48 hours. More than 48 hours, like you're probably going to get like a tenderness issue. And then smoke or dehydrate, to your preference, and experiment a little bit, test it out, see what you like.
Nice.
That's that.
Get it. Make jerky.
Make jerky.
And then let
Tell
us
us
know
how it
how
goes.
went. Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
send us some in the mail.
Yes, please.
Yeah, we'll take it.
We'll take it. Send us off.
Nailed that one.
Boom. Here it goes. We lost the camera.
All right. Audio's still there. This is where Chris does that fancy cut on the
Yep.
video.